Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Let's talk about Russell Wilson. He's been cooking all season long with a league-leading 19 touchdown passes. He also led the Seahawks to a perfect 5-0 record, the best start in team history. Russell Wilson is obviously an MVP frontrunner, but Fox NFL analyst Michael Vick took it even further yesterday on The Herd. Take a listen.
You know, Russell's going down as one of the greatest of all time, man, and he just got ice water in his veins. Nothing seems to faze him. He believes in himself, and you can almost look at his eyes and just his mannerisms throughout the game and know if he's going to be off or on that night. And 90% of the time he's on. Like, he's just one of the greatest, one of the best to ever do it, and I admire him so much. You know, if my son grew up and played quarterback, you know, I'm going to make sure that he watch a lot of Russell Wilson film.
Okay. That's the great Mike Vick speaking there. But Marcellus, you talk to me. Is Russell Wilson already an all-time great?
Yes, he is. Already an all-time great. I could go back to Seattle because I've had like 19,000 bad Russell Wilson takes. They all mad at me up there in the Pacific Northwest, but now you got to love me. Yes, he is. I asked you a question. Is Aaron Rodgers an all-time great right now? Is Drew Brees an all-time great right now? I think the answer to those questions are yes. So if that's a yes, then Russell Wilson is as well. Let's hit you with a full screen because people don't want to hear me. They just want to see these numbers. Tier 1. Look at this win percentage. I wonder who's higher. Oh, look at you, Russell Wilson. Completion percentage. Comparable. Lower, though. Passing yards per game. Acho doesn't like that stat anyway, so it's a little lower. Touchdown to interception ratio. Looks the same to me. And then most importantly, passer rating. Oh, look at Russell Wilson right there with those other guys. Now, let's take the full screen away. And why did I use those two guys? I wonder how many championships Drew Brees have. One. What about Aaron Rodgers? One. What about Russell Wilson? One. But 2 yards from two. Closer. Did the Aaron Rodgers go back to a Super Bowl? Wait. Drew Brees? Anybody? Everybody? Here's the point. What Russell Wilson is doing now and projecting going forward, it's going to be crazy. But right now, I look at it for real, as a tier 2 conversation. And a lot of people want to say, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, your top tier 2. Go ahead and put Russell Wilson bottom tier 2 all-time quarterback. Wherever you want to put him, he has to be in the neighborhood of Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers.
Sometimes, Marcellus, I'm nervous when you start speaking because sometimes I'm like, he got me this round. This block, terrible. You ain't got a chance. Here's why. Okay. All the stats you gave me in regards to Russell Wilson versus Drew Brees or Aaron Rodgers, they were fraction-oriented stats. What that meant was it was based on a percentage because you couldn't give me the totality. That's why you gave me percentage. That's why you gave me per game because you couldn't give me in total. You've told me
old as hell like them.
Which is a part of the conversation. You've told me, which to a degree I agree with. The only way LeBron can beat Michael Jordan is death by what?
1,000 paper cuts.
1,000 paper cuts. Because you can't beat him in longevity. You can't beat him in totality, just in short. So you got to beat him by 1,000 paper cuts. Russell Wilson can only become an all-time great by 1,000 paper cuts right now. Because he doesn't have another Super Bowl. Doesn't have an MVP vote. Here's the thing. You mentioned Drew Brees. Drew Brees, Marcellus, leads the NFL in passing yards. History. Completions. History. Touchdowns. History. Completion percentage. History. Drew Brees is literally an all-time great because when you look at the all-time list, Drew Brees' name is number 1. Aaron Rodgers, NFL MVPs, Super Bowl MVPs. Aaron Rodgers is not in that same breath right now as Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, we know, was carried to a Super Bowl. Everyone would admit that. The first one he was carried to. Now,
like Roethlisberger, like a mini.
Sure, but Roethlisberger also has two Super Bowls. So Russell Wilson is not yet an all-time great. Russell Wilson will become, if he continues on this trajectory, an all-time great. But to say that a man, Marcellus, who is currently 45th, I believe, in the NFL in passing yards in the history, who's currently 45th, to say that that man who has one Super Bowl, who he was carried to, in which I believe a linebacker was the Super Bowl MVP in that game, not a quarterback, a linebacker, to say that he is already currently an all-time great is overachieving at best and is asinine at worst?
I don't think either is true, because what I have to use is a body of work that is not so short where it is asinine, but long enough to say, wait a minute, we have now known who this player is, not in absolute sense, but in a relative sense. And I'm making a relative argument. That's what the world is.
Relatively bad argument.
Well, it's not. Well, it's relatively good then if it's relative. It's not absolutely bad. Watch yourself now. I read the Bible too. So here's the thing. So when you look at Russell Wilson, he has enough of a volume of work where you're like, wait a minute. In half the time, you already have made up more than half the distance. And in terms of championships, which you say you ultimately measure a quarterback by, he already caught them, dude. So all we're now looking for is some counting numbers in the absolute sense. All he has to do is be Russell Wilson. Oh, sorry. He can't be this version of Russ Wilson. He'll probably surpass those guys in 9 years. He has to be the lesser version before let Russ cook version. And that guy still is on pace to catching those guys. And that's without the championships, whatever he may win. Even if he doesn't win another one, he's still on pace with those guys. So this is taking me to track, my favorite sport.
Let's go there. Let's go there.
A lot of people don't know about TAC, the Athletic Congress, or AAU, more people know about. When you're an 8-year-old, they run the nationals just like the 18-year-olds, just like the Olympians. Everyone runs them. But at a certain age, they start to record the times, and it starts really at the age of 5. But 8 is when you're really, like, certified to run. They do projections. They look at guys that are like, at 8 years old, this guy has run the fastest 8-year-old 100 ever.
Absolutely.
9-year-old, 10-year-old. And then at a certain point, when you see his name every single year, you're like, yo, watch this kid. And that kid has turned out to be that man, the man. It's been a Usain Bolt, but you had to catch him early. It's been a Maurice Green, whatever you want to say. At a younger age, they also had the projections. You may say I'm premature by absolute sense, but not by the relative sense, and certainly not by the percentages. Russell Wilson has either shadowed or eclipsed those guys.
I don't mind you saying he will be an all-time great, because I agree, he will. The problem, Marcellus, is when you say he already is. Let's talk about it.
Let's go.
If Russ is already an all-time great, then Roethlisberger obviously is.
Yeah.
Rodgers is.
Yes.
Breeze
Yes.
is. Peyton Manning is.
Yes.
Tom Brady
Yes.
is.
Yes.
You got to throw in Eli Manning, because 2 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl MVPs. You could make an argument.
Yes.
You could make an argument.
I know.
You could for sure, if you want to make the Russ argument, you could make the Matt Ryan argument, because Matt Ryan has been consistently good. Here's my problem.
Matt
He has
Ryan.
an MVP. He has an MVP. Here's my problem, Marcellus.
He ain't got a championship.
How many all-time greats are there? I just gave you 10 names in 10 years. This is not basketball where everybody can loosely get into the Hall of Fame. That's my problem with your argument. If Russ is an all-time great, then I just gave you 10 other all-time greats in 10 years.
You ready?
There can't be that many.
All-time greats?
Yes.
First of all, if you make the Hall of Fame, are you an all-time great?
Yes.
There's 400 people in the Hall of Fame. So let's go by position. Let's go into the top tier. I do it in this system. Tier 1, all-time great. Brady, Peyton Manning, Montana. You could sprinkle who you want in there, but that's mine. Bottom of top tier, bottom tier 1. Marino and Elway and those kind of guys. Then we go into tier 2 for me, which is like around, like you would say, 6 to 10. And it's Roethlisberger. You can start.
You make Roethlisberger 6?
No, 6 through 10.
Okay.
Boy, you hot taking.
You put him at 10?
Look, Drew Brees, Roethlisberger, Aaron Rodgers, that you mix them up how you want. Those are a different group.
Okay.
And then there's a group called Russell Wilson. And you want to throw Matt Ryan in there? Okay, put him under Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson and others. That's my point. I've given you 10 names, and there's probably a few I've left off and some all-time greats from yesteryear. But the point is, even if we land at 15, that's still all-time greatness. And is Russell Wilson top 20 quarterback right now, all time? If you say yes, if you think about it.
I don't think I can say yes right now is my issue.
Top 30.
Oh, sure, but you're going to say top 30 is, you're going to say 29 is an all-time great?
You just told me that 300, almost 400 players.
But the problem is I really said that because of backlash, right? I'll be real with you. Would you say
all Hall of Famers are all-time players?
The issue
and some fringe ones.
Here's the issue with Russ, and here's why I say it has to be death by 1,000 cuts. Russell Wilson has never been the best quarterback in the NFL. That's a problem. Right, like early on in Russ's
Except
career,
this year.
it was
I
Peyton,
get
it was
it.
Tom
Except
Brady.
right now.
Except right now. But like we said, like if it were, is Russ already an all-time great? And right now, he's never been the best quarterback in the NFL
agree.
for a season.
I agree.
That, Marcellus, it has to factor into a part of the problem. Russ, 18 quarterbacks have made 3+ playoff starts since 2015. Only 6 have a losing record, including Russ, Breeze, Watson, Cousins, Prescott. 9 different quarterbacks have started NFC Championship games since Russ's last appearance. So when you talk about all-time greats, my issue is not that Russ will be an all-time great. It's to say he's already an all-time great. That's where I'm just like, come on, Marcellus. We giving too much leniency.
I'm just sorry to say, when I looked up and they said there are 26 modern era NFL quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame, and I'm like, is Russell Wilson better than those 26, some of them? And I said, yes.
all Hall of Famers are all-time greats?
Yeah, you don't think so?
But I see.
Non-Pro Bowl,
No,
one
no,
Pro
no.
Bowl.
I think all-time great is like the elite. I think all-time great, our generation, all-time greats of our generation, I would say Breeze.
Oh, my God.
No, check, rock with me.
I'm not rocking with you. I'm rolling with you.
Peyton Manning, Tom Brady.
We got to go to, what? All Hall of Famers are not all-time
No,
greats?
I'm saying the all-time greats of this generation.
Man, get out of here, man. Coming up. Speaking of an all-time great, Jimmy Garoppolo, because he made the most money, is down and out in the Bay. We'll tell you if the Niners should move on from Jimmy G. Next.